There are asphalt people that think not a square yard in the state of Florida should be concrete, and there are concrete people that think every square yard should be concrete, and neither answer is correct. My time's up. Sorry. I talk slower, too. That's why I'm a contractor. But I will welcome your questions when we get to that part of the discussion.
Thank you. Now, next speaker is Gus Pego.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Gus Pego. I'm the District Secretary for District 6, which is runs all the way from the Broward County line all the way down to Key West. Certainly, we do have a lot of concrete and a lot of asphalt in this state. In talking in general terms, and it's kind of hard to follow the guest speaker, who's your boss, and then try to come up with something innovative, bold, and intuitive, and talk about sustainability, being sandwiched between contractors and the asphalt and the concrete industry. So please forgive me and I beg your indulgence as I go through some statistics that I think you will find interesting. But more than that, I think that the question and answer will open our eyes and open our minds in order to embrace new concepts, not drawing lines in the sand as to which product is better, but thinking about the bigger environment of sustainability and how we contribute to our communities. The Florida Department of Transportation's work program this year is about $8 billion. And certainly those $8 billion continue the prosperity you and I are used to in our communities, our mobility, our ability to get to our jobs, our educational facilities, our churches, down to the grocery stores to pick up our food for our families. But more than that, that $8 billion, every $1 billion invested in transportation is 28,000 direct and indirect jobs in our state. Statewide, those priorities are safety first. We want to make sure our roadway system is safe for you and I and our families. Secondly, we have a lot invested in our system. The Florida Trucking Association and the National Trucking Association rated Florida's roads one of the best in the nation, certainly something we can be proud of. When ASCE did their report card, every 4 years they come up with a report card of the infrastructure in the United States. Florida stood out as one of the best in bridge infrastructure. Some other areas of our state, certainly we need to focus on. You have Miami-Dade Water and Sewer now investing $1.6 billion in the first phases of upgrading their water and sewer system. Certainly really needed. For numbers, that $8 billion program inclusively includes about 3.6 for highway construction. Investments in our seaports to get them ready for the post-Panamax opening is $288 million. We're also making investments in our aviation improvements, okay, at a tune of $169 million. $287 million, we talk about the bridges and their condition, are going to be spent repairing and replacing bridges in our state. Why? Because that's a very important thing as we're over many waterways and many bodies of water. Going to the operation and maintenance, $765 million, operating and maintaining our system. We're also making investments, and most people forget when we fill up our tank of gas, those pennies that are collected at the federal, state, and local levels are being spent and invested in mobility in our urban centers, in transit, to the tune of we're investing $401 million in public transportation that we supplement with the locals to provide mobility in our communities. And then again, the $144 million that we spent on safety improvements. And then we have the soft cost of what it takes to deliver our program. Are there challenges? Surely so. With the economy picking up, the population of the state continues to grow from 18.8 million in 2010 to a projected 25.8 by 2040. We're also expecting visitors to continue to come to our state. Why? Anat said it best. Look outside the window if you can, and you see that bright sun coming in. No winter to storms to put up with, the climate that everyone wants to come enjoy. So visitors are going to continue coming to Disney World, come down to Miami, okay? And we expect a 45% increase in visitors to 127 million by 2040. Today we have about 90 million. Vehicle miles traveled. By 2035, we expect vehicle miles traveled by automobile to increase 66% to 319 million miles traveled daily. Transit trips are increasing by 46%, so you and I and hopefully our children will start breaking the one-car model, one person per car, and start taking transit where it's connected and can get us to where we need to go. Certainly, we need to improve our transit system. The expansion of the Panama Canal, Director Johnson anticipates freight will double in the next 10 years. Projections for the whole state will increase 42% to 643 million tons by 2035. Our highway system is only one mode of moving that freight. Rail freight movement will increase also by 7% to 80.2 million tons. And by air, 108%, moving 2.5 million tons. Given these projections, it's clear to me that transportation is going to be the place to be, not only now, but in the future, as we work to maximize our resources and ensure we're stretching the dollar the best we can. The gap between receipts of the Highway Trust Fund and what it costs us to improve our system will continue to widen. As our vehicles become more efficient, if you look at the CAFE standards, for 2016, vehicle miles per gallon, 35.5 is the target. By 2025, imagine our cars, our fleets, will be averaging 54.5 miles per gallon. Now, remember, if we don't do something with that gas tax, the gap is widening, the improvement opportunities become lesser and lesser. So we have less money to build, operate, and maintain, but also to improve our system. So what do we have to do? We have to use those dollars more wisely. We've heard it mentioned by the previous panelists, life cycle costs is certainly something we should look at throughout the process. I agree with that. It's not something you do just at the end. But I can tell you, by being innovative and bold, projects like I-95 Express, that we're improving our capacity of the existing footprint without disturbing our communities. We continue to improve reliability of our system without impacting our communities and using raw materials. Secretary Prasad talked about the Lake Belt lawsuit and the concern of industry of what impact it would have not only to build concrete, but also to make roadways of asphalt. And certainly that was a real fear. But the reality is in engineering, we're taught to try to optimize our design to be cost effective. Try to optimize our design by your line and grade in order to reduce the amount of fill you need for your projects. So it all goes back to the core concepts that we learned at the university. The resources are limited. The natural resources are very limited. So we have to be innovative in our approach to how we recycle, how we take products that are waste in other industries and how we can recycle them and put them into our highway components to ensure that we build infrastructure that's durable and long-lasting. Florida has been a boom state since after World War II. Land was cheap. People came here to train for the Army, and they came back for the sand and the sun. Well, the days of building it and tearing it down, you didn't have to worry about life cycle costs because our communities were growing so fast that you may have designed for a 50-year design life, but the reality is the bridge was being replaced because of capacity issues. Now we need to do a better job planning. laying out our urban environment so we can consolidate our trips, make them more efficient so we can change modes between the bicycle, the walking, or if you're by transit or by car. We need to make sure our highways are free of congestion so that the state of Florida can capitalize on the movement of freight out of our ports. Florida is strategically positioned to win in the global economy because we're well positioned to take advantage of the Panama Canal. The Port of Miami, Port Everglades, what better resources do we have in this community to be vibrant, sustainable, but we have to work together to make sure we're maximizing our ability to be innovative, maximizing our ability to use our resources and our materials for the right purposes and at the right time. I look forward to the question and answer and being part of this distinguished panel. Thank you very much.